as a renowned archaeologist who has been at different sites and excavations throughout Israel, what makes Masada, from an archaeological point of view, why is it such a compelling tour site? And should it be as compelling as it is, or would you rank other excavations that you've been a part of as more significant than Masada? If one can rank these, I don't know if they're even rankable.
Yeah, wow. That's really hard for me to answer.
Okay.
Because I think that without Josephus's story, Masada would not have the cachet that it has, the allure that it has, right? And that has to do with what happens with the story of Masada, because it really is a phenomenon of the 20th century, where in the 20th century, through a confluence of events connected with the early Zionist movement and the establishment of the State of Israel, Masada becomes kind of a symbol of the State of Israel. Very early on, even before the establishment of the state, it becomes the spot, thanks to the late Israeli archaeologist Shmaryahu Gutman, it becomes the spot where youth groups climb up to the top of the mountain, kind of a thing, creating this kind of physical connection with the land and with this particular site. But again, all of this I think a large part of it has to do with Josephus' story, and I'm not sure any of this would have happened without that sort of, that very compelling story that Josephus presents. I mean, there's no doubt that Masada is, even without the story, Masada is a really interesting and important archaeological site. And visually, it's spectacular, right? I mean, it's in this remote location, this very rugged mountain, isolated, overlooking the Dead Sea. So the setting is spectacular. I'm not sure that, though, that without, even with all of that without Josephus' story, it would have become, right? Because it's that combined with Josephus' story that kind of then makes it into the symbol that it becomes in, the 20th century. So I don't know that can, certainly there are plenty of other important archaeological sites around the country. And, it's interesting, Masada and Caesarea are the two most visited archaeological sites in the country. We're excluding Jerusalem, obviously, because Jerusalem is a whole nother, but they're the two most visited archaeological sites. And in the case of Caesarea, of course, it's a spectacular, gigantic, visually amazing site. But it's also very close to Tel Aviv and very easy to get to. Everybody who lands in Tel Aviv, they spend a night in Tel Aviv and then they go and visit Caesarea. Masada, on the other hand, is a little bit, right, more remote. And that, again, is that allure of the story, right, of the mass suicide.
Are there any current or future archaeological efforts at Masada?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And here I'll mention, so I have a colleague at Tel Aviv University, Guy Stiebel, who is a professor there, and he was one of Ehud Netzer's students, and Ehud Netzer, again, was an Israeli archaeologist who worked with, way back, worked on top of Masada at the time of Yedin's excavations, and then later published the architecture on top of Masada as part of the Masada Final Report series. Ehud was known, he was my professor as an undergraduate, he was known really as, sort of a real specialist on the archaeology and architecture of Herod, right? He excavated a number of sites associated with Herod. And so sort of continuing that kind of work, Guy Stiebel, who was Ehud's advisee, has been working in recent years on top of Masada. And I don't know what his plans are for this year, but I would imagine that he's going to be continuing his work up there.
Just in conclusion, you had mentioned that you're headed to Israel next month, I believe it is.
Actually, in less than 2 weeks.
Oh, less than 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your plans? What are you planning on doing? Excavations? Where
right.
will it be?
Yeah, so I like to joke, so for a large part of my career, I was a Southern girl, a Judean. Okay. Jerusalem, Qumran, Masada, Yotvata, not to confuse with Yotvata, all the way down from the southern Arava, yes. Right? Yes. So for a long time, I was a Southern girl. But I became a Galilean, a Yankee, in recent years because of my interest in ancient synagogues, and particularly Galilean type synagogues. And so in 2011, I started excavations at a site called Huqoq, which is located not far from the shore of the Sea of Galilee, the northwest shore of the Sea of Galilee. And our excavations there have been bringing to light the remains, among other things, the remains of a monumental late Roman synagogue dating to around the year 400 CE, paved with extraordinary mosaics depicting an array of biblical stories, including scenes of Samson, scenes from the book of Daniel, the parting of the Red Sea, Noah's Ark, the building of the Tower of Babel, Jonah. I could go on and on. And so we will be continuing, and let's see, what's the date today? Yes, in about another month, we'll be having our next excavation season. The site is not open to the public, so you in Israel, don't run up there. And there's nothing to see at this point because it's all backfilled anyway. But if you are interested, you can go to the DIG website, which is huqoq.org. So HUQOQ.org. And there are tabs there with media coverage, with our publications, if people want to see the mosaics, pictures of the mosaics and stuff like that.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we can go on and on, but we have digs to take care of. So this has been absolutely fascinating. Masada, from Jewish revolt to modern myth, Professor Jodi Magness. And again, thank you so much. I urge all our viewers and listeners, as I did, just to go onto Amazon, click of a button, order the book, and it really is a treasure. Professor Magness, again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Nice chatting with you.